Tipped in the air and knocked away. KU's got to win it. Blah, big time two-hand slam by Hunter Dickinson.
Kansas is the 2023 WNIT champions.
This is the Jayhawker Podcast, presented by the University of Kansas Health System.
Aloha. Greetings from Honolulu, Hawaii. Welcome to the Jayhawker Podcast, brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System and Black and Beach. I am Greg Gurley, along with Wayne Simien, remotely from the Wagner Student Support Center. They're in his office in KU Leeds, probably a little jealous from where I'm at. We just tried to show the setting of where I'm at. The Wi-Fi wasn't great outside, so people can't be jealous of my setting, which is Waikiki Beach right out that window. But we're going to power through it here inside the hotel room. Talk a little KU football, talk KU basketball, all things Kansas athletics. It was a crazy weekend. Last weekend, I was unable to be there as I'm slumming it here on Waikiki Beach. I wish I could have been there, but I want to go to my partner in crime who was there, soaked it all in. Wasn't the outcome that we wanted. Obviously, did everything we could have possibly done to win that game and break the streak, but just couldn't make the big plays when we needed it. But Wayne, tell me about what I missed, the atmosphere, the ain't no seats mentality. I didn't see the pockets of scattered empty seats. The booth was packed, and it was fun to watch as we were at Giovanni Pastrami's famous KU watch party bar, I guess, but we were there in force and up and down, ebbs and flows of that game. But Wayne, tell me about Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, it was such an incredible environment, Greg, that I can't even be jealous of your environment with the blue water and the sandy beach and the mountains and the sunshine that you're enjoying there in Honolulu and Waikiki Beach, because the booth was phenomenal. As good as I've ever seen in 30 years, you know, all the way back coming to games as a young boy when I was 10 years old. And the fans showed up, the students showed up. The game did not disappoint other than the 3-point loss, a bitter rivalry, which, mind you, we still lead the series 65-61 on the football side of things. But it was really incredible, an awesome environment for the seniors to be able to play their last game in David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium as we celebrated guys like Quentin Lassiter and Kenny Logan and Jason Bean. And, even though he did not start and there was a lot of talk and chirping and anticipation about, hey, would he potentially get the nod? Cole Ballard had a solid performance. Devin Neal was unreal as he had a huge night, logging his, yet another 1,000-yard season back to back. And as he's climbing the charts, about to cement himself was one of the all-time greats from the backfield there. But just a few too many mistakes. You could probably count on one hand the number of plays that just did not go our way that eventually led to our demise, whether it was a muff punt or a drop pick or, interception, just an untimely interception, just small things like that. And we have to tip the hat to K-State. There's one thing that they're historically good at, and it's not hurting themselves. And when you don't hurt yourselves, when you don't have self-inflicted wounds, it usually allows you to come out on top in close games like that, which is what they did as we succumbed to some of those self-inflicted wounds, losing that game 27-31. But phenomenal environment, and it really lends itself to showing us, hey, that is actually the next step, the next growth stage that this football program has to take, is being able to close out those close ones. You think about what happened at Tech, you think about this weekend, but thankfully that wasn't the end of the season, and there's going to be plenty more opportunity to be able to do that as we get ready to head to Cincinnati to face the Bearcats, and then, of course, finding out our bowl destination, which is really exciting. It's hard to be able to imagine that, right? Back-to-back bowl, entries in a short amount of time in Coach Lance Leipold's tenure, which is pretty incredible. But hopefully they can get some momentum. They have a little chip on their shoulder, get back on their feet, road game against the Bearcats, and build some incredible momentum going into bowl season.
And like we've learned this year, we can't take anything for granted. Yes, are we better than Cincinnati? Yeah, but we're playing at their place. They're hungry. They haven't had the kind of season that they wanted. Last year they lost their coach and they're in semi-rebuild mode, but they still got guys. And we're still on the road. We finally broke that barrier, getting that victory at Iowa State just a few weeks ago, and we need to do it again because we built so much momentum and had opportunities, like you said, against Tech and K-State. We're just right there. That's how close we are to a 10-win season. But we're at 7. We need to get to 8. We need to keep taking that progression to better bowls. Liberty Bowl was great. Unbelievable fan support. One of the best bowl games last year. And we need to build on that again. I don't know where that's going to be, but 8 wins, yeah, this is really impressive, Greg. 8 wins is more than 6.
Yeah,
Therefore, you're going to get a better bowl game.
You're right on that 8 win. And man, even think about the 4 teams that just came into the league this year. And I'm sure they had some pretty big expectations of them walking right in and doing well, getting bowl eligible. But here we see at the bottom of the conference, UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, BYU trying to make a little bit noise, but I think they've only got 2 conference wins. And so, like, it really, lends itself to another credit of approval towards the job that these young men are doing on the football field, as you have, programs that are coming into the Big 12 the first time that have had historical success come in and struggle, and we're able to kind of take that next step. And look, I don't care where our bowl game is. I just need a warm destination bowl, especially since I'm missing out on that warm weather that you're enjoying right now.
Yeah, we've really missed you on the beach, surfing and doing all kinds of water sports. You'd probably be the guy that wants to go deep sea fishing, though. Very outdoorsy. I'm more of a Bloody Mary guy, graduating to some fruity drinks and sit by the pool and show off this dad bod that I've been able to create over years and years of undisciplined eating and not working out. So you're really missing out. But a couple things before we move on to basketball. Talk about the opportunity this weekend. It sounds like Jason Bean is taking the reps in practice, which is what he didn't really do last week. And I think everyone's asking, like, Lance said he was able to play, but he didn't. Cole Ballard did an amazing job. So I want you to comment on Jason Bean's availability and what that means to this team. And then talk about Cole Ballard. Walk-on, was granted a scholarship halfway through the year. Wasn't, he had a Heisman hopeful in Jalen Daniels. Then he had a great backup in Jason Bean. So Cole Ballard, I mean, it'd be great to ask him, like, did he ever even think that he'd be on that stage like last weekend and perform at the level that he did? Because he was, I bet you I know if you asked me, I don't know if he asked you in August who Cole Ballard was, I don't know if I would have been able to say it, but now he's earned it. He was great, gave us every opportunity to win. Frustrated for him, would have been a hero, but the job that he did was so cool to see how guys that persevere and have patience and are just ready to play.
Yeah, I love that we're talking about quarterbacks, and I'll start with our QB1 for the beginning of the season because right before you took off to head to Honolulu, he made a big announcement stating that he was coming back. And, I really love that he was able to do it on his own terms, to tell his own story, to shape his own narrative. We know that in the silence of him getting treatment and second opinions and rehab and things like that, there have been a lot of murmurings. There have been a lot of undertones about, hey, what was going to happen? And I'm thankful that he was able to break out to be able to share that. And I will say that is one of the benefits of social media these days. I know there are a lot of deficiencies around social media, but I love it that he was able to tell his story, that he was able to make the announcement. He was able to put his personality and his emphasis on it. Years ago, you'd have to, hope that a beat writer would be, or a press release would be able to shape things the way, that would best personify your intentions and your personality. But I really love the video that he was able to drop out. And so good news for the Jayhawk Nation. The Jalen Daniels is going to be coming back, not just with 1 year, but 2 years. I mean, think about that. It could be playing next year as we're going under the stadium renovation with this incredible Gateway project. And then for his final season, how cool would that be for him to be able to open up the new David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium there in his final campaign with the electric type of play. And so As we transition into the next QB that there's some question marks behind and folks are anticipating his return, Jason Bean. You know, when you think about someone that's coming back from an injury, there are a lot of things at stake, especially when you think about a young man's heart and desire, because everyone wants to be on the field competing, especially when it's against your rival, especially when it's senior day, especially when it's the last home game of the year. But there's got to be long-term thinking for, first of all, Jason Bean and his health and his well-being and his career, both here at Kansas and beyond, but then also for the team as a whole in terms of their confidence, their preparation. And so, you know, I can't understate like how difficult it is for a coaching staff and even Jason Bean himself to actually get together, medical staff included, to come up with a plan. Hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're not going to do. This is what's the best interest for you, Jason, individually. This is what's the best interest for the team as a whole. And to be able to come up with a decision, a very painful decision, like it was on Saturday, not to allow him to play. But I'm thankful that they're kind of following the process of making sure that he's healthy, that he's whole, and hopefully not only being able to compete against Cincinnati, but also in the bowl game, like we mentioned there. And then, you know, Bean has been a godsend in many ways, having a backup quarterback that could win his football games. And you could say that same thing about Cole Ballard, who's been able to come and keep us competitive against some very, very difficult competition. I'm so thankful for all of the different weapons that are around him. Of course, Devin Neal and Highshaw, and then Luke Grimm coming back from his injury and had some pretty big catches there on Saturday as well. Andy Kornecki doing a great job of calling a game and making sure that kind of Cole Ballard stays within himself a little bit. He got outside himself one or two plays, and it cost us on Saturday. But, man, here he is. We're talking about a walk-on quarterback. Here it is. We're talking about a third-string quarterback that is having to step up and compete in the biggest of scenarios when the lights are the brightest, and it's been pretty impressive. And hopefully he'll continue to grow, and not only whether it's this season, but also give us confidence for what he can do potentially as a backup here in the future.
Well said. You covered it all, and I'm excited to get back. I'm going to be parked at 6:30 on Saturday night watching that, and again, to propel us into the month of December, it's just a fun time. It's like March Madness, where you find out where you're going to play, you get that 8th win, we get whatever bowl game it may be, start making preparations and travel plans, and it's something we just haven't experienced in a long time up until this past year, and now we're going to do it back-to-back years. As a Kansas fan and an employee, got to be so excited about the direction of our program, the capital commitment by Travis Goff and his staff, whether that be salaries for our guys to keep them here, whether that be NIL, and obviously the Gateway Project. And it's a great time to be a Jayhawk. Would have been even greater to celebrate Saturday night, but again, there's a progression, there's a process, and we're going to start winning those games. I know it. They're just too good to make the little mistakes like they made. So again, looking forward to Saturday, and now on to basketball. Here we are in Honolulu. Got one game under our belts against Chaminade. Unbelievable individual performances. But before we really talk stats and the games, we got to bring up KJ Adams. You and I are both very close to our team, and KJ is just one of the nicest, smilingest, selfless kids ever. We've become close with his mom, Yvonne, and his dad, Kevin. And unfortunately, on Friday, his mom passed, had a stroke on Thursday night. KJ was able to get up on Friday, get down, and spend some time with her before she passed. And it's tough. I mean, we've all lost loved ones, and losing them, at this time, his age, 20, 21 years old, it's been brutal. But when you and I are both part of a team, and your brothers, your family, your basketball family lift you up, and when it happened, everyone was asking, "Hey, do you think KJ will show up?" And I'm like, well, knowing Yvonne and knowing Kevin, I guarantee you that they said, "Kevin, you need to go be with your team, and be with your brothers, be with your family. Understand that they're going to build you up. Yes, you have a choice. You can do whatever you want to do, but sitting around and and just, mentally and physically being drained. And so what was so cool in my eyes yesterday, uh, Kevin and KJ and his two sisters got on they drove from Austin to Dallas, boarded a plane, stopped in Oakland, came over here. So you're talking like, I don't know, 12, 14, 15 hours of travel. We just did it on Friday. I don't play basketball, and I was tired. KJ, who's dealing with what he's dealing with the passing of his mom, gets here at about 1:30 yesterday, plays 26 minutes in a Division I Power Five conference game. It's crazy. Just showed you how tough he is, both mentally and physically. And it was great. We've been texting, and obviously he's getting thousands and thousands of texts, but it was great to see him, give him a hug, see his dad, and I think basketball, college athletics as a whole, your family definitely helps. And I'm glad he's here, and just love that family.
Yeah, such a terrible tragedy. Obviously, to be able to see that happen to the Adams family, but what an inspiring outcome. Just days after that, is KJ and his family are making the effort, to get all the way out there to Honolulu, and you use the word family, and a lot of times that can be cliche in the sports world, but I really think that one of the more inspiring outcomes, for this is to be able to see that really personified in this situation right here. The effort, for them to come out there, and then also I'm sure the embrace that you saw there. Unfortunately, something like this isn't foreign to the Kansas basketball program as a whole. As you think about Thomas Robinson's mom, you think about Darnell Jackson's mom, and coach and his staff having to go through that. So I'm sure that there were some, words of wisdom and affirmation and care that have come from guys that have gone before KJ, unfortunately, that had to experience this. But it's just and so inspiring to see him make an effort, his whole family, to get there to be with the basketball family, and in a way to see Kansas basketball as a way that brings healing and inspiration. Your radio colleague Brian Haney, what does he do every game? There's a call on the broadcast to someone that's fighting a terminal disease that tunes in and watches a guy's effort like KJ, that watches someone play unselfishly like Dewan, and they are inspired by it. All right, it makes them want to fight harder. It makes them want to live more. And so it's really interesting to understand that this whole dynamic in the realm of Kansas basketball isn't just a version of entertainment, isn't just a face of a university brand, but how it can really, really inspire people in ways that not a lot of other programs or entities can be able to do. And it makes you be thankful to be part of it even more, right, Greg?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And yesterday at pregame meal, we're talking to Bill doing our interviews, and he didn't know at that time. We didn't know when KJ was going to get here. We didn't know what state of mind he'd be in. So Bill said, "Hey, it'd be nice to put him in the game, kind of work the rust off a little bit, get a sweat in, maybe 5 to 8 minutes, 6 to 10 minutes, whatever." And he plays 26. And I thought the coolest part of the game was when we had a breakout and Dewan had the ball, and it was like a 3-on-none break, and Dewan threw it up on the backboard. KJ was able to take out some frustrations with. He always seems like he's frustrated with the rim and wants to tear it off the backboard. But it was a very cool scene. Standing ovation by Jayhawk Nation here at the Stan Sheriff Center. So a great, I say a great story. It's sad how it all happened, but it does show you how, like you said, it's kind of cliche to say family and all that, but when you have situations like this, it proves that you need your brothers and you need your support staff. So cool to see KJ here. We'll see how he can go against Marquette. Looking at some of the line from yesterday, once again, a dominant performance by Hunter Dickinson. I mean, he just toyed with him. 15 of 18 from the field. Granted, it was Chaminade. They didn't have a lot of big guys, but 31 points, 11 boards, another double-double coming off the Kentucky 27 and 21. So it's early, but there's not a better player in the country right now. We're only 4 games in, so I get it. And we're going to find out a lot against Marquette on their, this will probably air after that. They've got length, they've got athleticism, they got good guards that can shoot it. They were basically the preseason #1 before we got Hunter. They lost a guy to the NBA draft in the all too early top 25, but Shaka Smart has it rolling, and it's going to be an interesting game. We're going to find out a lot about us, how we defend, how we play against athletic length, and this is why you play these games. This is why you put yourself out there to kind of figure out who you are, and then if you get exposed, how do you fix it? So we shall see. Kevin McCullough back-to-back triple doubles. It's happened like 7 other times in the history of college basketball. And if you were watching the game, the scene was interesting. He had double digits in points and rebounds already, and he was stuck on 7 assists. It was like 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. Bill puts him in, not to get the triple double, just to get it to the under 4 and then put in the other guys. So he puts Jamari McDowell at the bench to check in. So if a whistle blows, Kevin's out. But there's no whistle. 3 straight possessions, he makes passes that lead to bucket, and he gets a triple double. And Bill didn't do it on purpose, and Kevin didn't do it on purpose. Kind of happened organically, which makes it even cooler. I was talking to Kev after the game. I'm like, dude, do you know how big of a deal this is? There's only 2 other players in the Bill Self eras that had triple doubles. Now, it's a little skewed Kansas basketball wide because they didn't really keep all the stats. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain probably averaged.
He was a walking triple double, maybe quadruple double, but still.
Yeah, let's throw that out. Which the Wilt numbers are crazy, but it is what it is. They didn't have computers. They weren't charting it as well as we do now. But back-to-back triple doubles, and we just had a chalk talk that normally you and I do, Wayne, when we're on the road. But since you're not here, Brian Haney and Q and I did it in front of it was like 200 people. I got, how nervous I get around crowds and speaking in public. So it was an unbelievably cool event. But we talked about how, and I brought it up. I said, what's crazy is Kevin hadn't played great in these last 2 games. We got wins against Kentucky and Chaminade, both triple doubles. And I think if you ask Kevin, he'll be like, yeah, there's a lot of things I can do better. And people from the outside looking in are like, triple double back to back, and you got Hunter Dickinson. I understand why you're the #1 team in the country, but we have so much more to do and so much room for improvement.
Yeah, I mean, such an incredible feat, historic feat by Kevin, not only in the Kansas basketball tradition and legacy, but in all of college basketball. I mean, when your name is mentioned with the likes of Shaquille O'Neal and Anthony Hardaway, Penny Hardaway, I mean, that's some elite company. And then to be able to do things that no other Jayhawk has done before, when you've got names like, Manning and Pierce and the like, that have come through here, is really, really good. I think it's great because it really paints a picture. Is Kevin McCullough a perfect player? No, but he's a complete player by showing his ability to be able to impact the game. Actually, almost like his first triple-double more than this, because even though he only scored 11 points against Kentucky, was still able to have incredible output in those other categories and basically will us, to win. And, the 21 points he had last night, to me, is less impressive when you have to guard the other team's best player, and Kentucky had pros on that other roster. And so hopefully he can keep the momentum going. Hopefully the confidence continues to build for him, and we see him as an anchor. And Chaminade wasn't an easy team to play, even though you maybe look at the name recognition and you're thinking, that's not really a big deal. That's not great competition. But, the way that they shot threes, even the effort that they played with. And I was thinking about this because, just like a lot of our guys on our bench were playing in honor of KJ Adams and his family, Chaminade was playing in honor and on behalf of a lot of those people that lost their lives and homes in Maui. That's the namesake of that very tournament. And so I thought there was a dangerous team, which is why you did not see them go away the entirety of the game. Now, at times I wanted to go away because I didn't have my favorite broadcaster calling the game, which was a little bit difficult for me. I'm not sure if Bill Walton's going to be calling. He's some people's flavor. A little tough for me. So I hung in there. Was kind of going back and forth between the Chiefs game, but had great win and a tough matchup coming up here, not only against Marquette, but also the other looming competitive fields in the Classic, which is what everyone wanted to see.
I think to put a bow on it with Kevin, a baseball analogy. When a pitcher doesn't have his best stuff, but he pitches a complete game, he figures it out. That's what Kevin has done. He hadn't shot the ball great, hadn't scored the ball great, but he impacts the game in so many ways. And I said it this morning in the Chalk Talk. The best recruit we got this past year was Kevin McCullough. You got to recruit your own guys nowadays, and not that he was going to transfer, but he's going to go to the NBA, and he still could have gone and probably got a two-way deal or something. But when he came back, made like Hunter Dickinson was a massive piece. Don't get me wrong, but getting Kevin back, we needed that alpha dog. We needed that leader. We needed that guy that's a coach on the floor for Bill Self, just like DeJuan. Someone to talk to Hunter about how Bill does it, and talk to Furphy and talk to all these guys. And so it's that to me was the biggest recruit. And that kind of sounds weird because he was already here. But
without a doubt, yeah.
I love where we're at. Again, we're at the time of this taping, we haven't played, and by the time we release it, we'll probably know. But when you look at Marquette, long, athletic, to your point, Chaminade yesterday really penetrated with stopping the lane, draw a defense, pitch to shooters, which is what Marquette's going to do, but with real guys, with guys that can hurt you from the 3-point line. Cam Jones, Tyler Kolek. Kolek's going to remind you a lot. Already said it about Rex Walters, just a lefty that is always looking to penetrate. We've got to play without fouling. Defensively, I think we're really good. Well, 4 guys. I think the other 4 is what we need to see to become a cohesive unit. It takes 5 guys to play defense. If one chain is broken, the link, it's broken. And that's the way the Bill Self defensive scheme works. And so we got to get more out of El Marco, Johnny Furphy, and Nick Timberlake. It's going to take all of those guys because at some point, teams aren't going to let Hunter go 15 of 18 and dominate the inside. They're going to triple team him. He's going to pitch it out, and we have to prove that we can make shots. DeJuan goes 5 of 6 from the 3-point line against Kentucky. The rest of the team was 1 of 12, and that one was Hunter's end of half 3. We have to shoot the ball better because if we don't, all coaches are going to do is flood Hunter Dickinson with guys, and going to have some opportunities against Marquette. And here we are talking about Marquette at semifinals. The Maui Classic is crazy. Gonzaga lost in the first round. Gonzaga is really good. They're in the losers bracket. First round loss because they got matched up against a team that was just a little bit better than, Tennessee.
Which is probably where we would have been, not necessarily in the losers bracket, but matched up against a Purdue or a Tennessee or someone alike before we got Hunter Dickinson and preseason number 1, because they see this tournament off preseason rankings.
Kansas and Marquette, one of the two.
Hey, Greg, you cut out for a second there. Will you just start that back over? Start that back over, and I'll edit it.
Just like 20 seconds ago?
Seconds. Yeah, maybe like 10, 15
right after
seconds.
I talked about the seedings.
When you look at it, Tennessee or Purdue, they're not going to be in the championship game of the Maui Classic. Kansas and Marquette, one of those two isn't going to be there. This looks like a championship game. We've talked a lot about how packed this field is, and it's true. It's a great atmosphere here. I was watching the games yesterday, and it's going to be fun. Marquette's got a big showing here. It's going to be a blast, and we're going to find out a lot about ourselves. So is Marquette, so is Tennessee, so is Purdue. If it turns out that Kansas plays Purdue in the finals, and you got Hunter Dickinson and Zach Edey, Hunter's huge. Zach Edey's bigger. I mean, he's 7'4". I walked by him in the tunnel yesterday, and I'm like, I've been around some big guys, Hunter included, and he's bigger. So, and obviously Hunter's got a track record with him from his Big Ten days. So could be some great matchups. We got to take care of business and make some shots. And I liked some of the activity yesterday of Johnny Furphy on the offensive end, offensive glass, getting shots for other guys. Got to shore up him defensively. Too many straight line drives by Chaminade, not Tyler Kolek and Cam Jones. That was Chaminade. So it's definitely something that they're freshmen. I'm not This is not an indictment on them. It just is what it is. You got guys that are going to grow up right in front of our faces, and we're going to be a much better defensive team at the end of December, just like the beginning of February. It's just a natural progression, and it's going to be a big boy game, and we've got to step up. So excited about that. When we get back, a week after we get back, we play UConn at home. I watched them on TV the other night. They look like
we get to Indiana. Yeah, that was some really good matchups. Watched them play Texas in that championship tournament out there in New York, and I have my eye on them as well.
Yeah, didn't that look like the best team in the country? I mean, Connecticut looked stacked, and I think they've got an injury too of a guy that's coming back. Where I saw on the ESPN crawl that it's going to be he'll be back for the December 1st game, so more weapons for them. But no rest for the weary. We're going to get back. We play somebody next Tuesday. Can't remember. Eastern Illinois. And then we play Connecticut on Friday. Then the following week, we get Missouri at home, which will be a crazy atmosphere in Allen Fieldhouse. And then go to Indiana finals week, a couple games around Christmas break. And then before we know it, Big 12 starts. So it goes fast. Dane Furious, be on the road, tough schedule, but they wouldn't want it any other way. We're just in a good place right now. So
yeah, it's funny. It's
find out who we are.
You're at the mercy of the conference when they assign who you're going to play and when in conference play you're going to play it. But this time of year, this is what we signed up for, right? We chose these opponents. We chose this type of field to prepare us and to get us ready for the gauntlet that is the Big 12, and of course to have some big time matchups to get some good weathering and to cut our teeth as we're going into a big March run, hopefully all the way to Phoenix. And man, I'm really glad you mentioned defense, because it is true what you said. Seemingly, we've got 4 guys that are anchors and very reliable in that. But you and I both know that 4 effective defensive players is not enough. All right? It's enough to get you beat any time of the year. And as those young guys are getting their feet under them, unfortunately, it's looking like it's going to be by committee, before the Christmas break, which is a time where you can really start to see guys kind of take strides and feel better in their comfort level, their role, their responsibilities. But until that point, it may be by committee with those freshmen. And then you can add Nick Timberlake to that, especially with as much as the Bill Self style of defense lends itself to switching, especially switching 4. And this is what teams do. They're patient enough in the shot clock to allow us to switch, and then they look for the weak link, per se. They look for the matchup that they want. They want to put Hunter Dickinson in ball screen situations to draw him away from the basket so he can't clog up the paint. And then guess what? They're going to attack one of those young guys or one of those newcomers. And so it's one of those things where it's like, it might seem unfair. It might seem like a dog-eat-dog world. They're going to get put on an island. But at some point in time, they got to grow up and understand, hey, this is big boy basketball. And you got to anchor down and win your battle on the defensive end. And then hopefully when you can do that, build some confidence, then maybe that'll lead into us making a few threes, which we've been pretty deficient in up until this point.
Hey, guess what? Life ain't fair. Basketball ain't fair. They're going to take advantage of the advantage that they have, the matchups. They're going to, like you said, pull Hunter Dickinson away from the basket because he clogs up the middle with the 7-2. He's not a great athlete, so all he does is just make himself big. But when you pull him away from the basket, it frees up all these lanes, and then guys are going to have to keep guys in front of them. And the other thing in the half-court set when Hunter is down there, our guards have to do a better job of keeping guys in front of them, because if they get by him, it's just human nature. Hunter's going to be forced to foul, whether he's trying to or not. And the one thing we can't afford is Hunter in foul trouble.
Yeah, and one thing that I didn't like it as a player, I kind of like it now because I'm on the other side of it. But Coach Self will actually kind of open that wound up if you're the supposed weak link and teams are gearing up towards you, and he's not gonna he's not gonna make accommodations for you. He's not gonna fall back into a zone in order to protect you. He's not gonna have you guard somebody else so you're no longer exposed. He's gonna open up that wound. He's gonna pour salt in it in film session, in shoot around, and he's gonna say like, hey, you need to take it personal. All right, that they're basically picking on you per se, that they see you as a weak link, that they see you as a way to get the win. And yeah, it's kind of the proverbial, hey, I'm going to toss my kid into the pool and say, hey, sink or swim. Sink or swim, because if not, we got 3 or 4 other guys sitting here on the bench that are willing and ready to get in there and try to make the most out of their opportunity. And so that's one thing that I appreciate him, that it just exudes its toughness, because you see other coaches smoke and mirrors and jump defenses and zone and press and this and that. It's like, no, this is the way we're going to play at Kansas basketball, and you either adapt or you don't.
Well, I'm glad you brought it up, because I get it a lot. I'm sure you do as well. Every fan is smarter than Bill Self, right? They're going to say, well, if we're not good man-to-man, why wouldn't we just play zone? I'll tell you why. Because he's got his way of coaching and his philosophies and his beliefs, and that's man-to-man defense 95% of the time. And when it's not, sometimes you're forced to do it because of foul trouble or just numbers. But Bill will never do anything that he doesn't practice. And you only get so much time on the court with the guys. He's going to utilize that time to do their core defensive strategies, which is man-to-man. They're going to practice a zone maybe 5 to 10% of the time, meaning that it's a last ditch. They're not going to run a zone and take away from the way he wants to play. He's in charge. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter what I think. It matters what he thinks. And just get used to it. And then I know fans are, like I said, just like good golfers are better greenskeepers. Fans are better basketball coaches. Everyone's better at a job they don't do, correct? I mean, it just is what it is. And so 21 years of Bill Self, put your faith in him. They're going to figure it out, and life ain't fair. Figure it out. That's how I know you parent, I parent, like, hey, I'm not going to do it for you. You got to figure it out. If you're going to be soft, I'll get the next guy to do it. And so that's how it is, next man up mentality. And you can't question it. He's been the most successful coach in college basketball for a long, long time. So, and none of this is meant to be doom and gloom like we're awful. We have to nitpick a little bit because we just beat Chaminade by 20 plus points. We just beat Kentucky. Everybody's like, hey, 4-0, you're the number 1 team in the country. But real basketball guys know that we still have steps to take, and that's on the defensive end. And the offensive end, we got to become a better shooting team.
Yeah, we certainly do. Hey, it's interesting that you mentioned, and we've been talking about that field there in Maui. We've got a couple other Kansas sports programs that have been having to navigate some difficult fields. How about volleyball? Ray Bouchard and his group continue to take incredible strides, 2 major wins in the Big 12, sweeping Baylor in straight sets, and then going to Provo and peeling off the win there. Reagan Cooper, who's leading the way with just an enormous amount of kills out there, the National Player of the Week in volleyball. I mean, they just keep striding. And then, of course, our women's basketball team led by Brandon Snyder and all the Big 12 preseason honorees there, and Tiana Jackson and Holly Kerskeeter and Zakai Franklin are headed to the Grand Cayman Islands, which is a pretty nice destination. Might be a little bit better than Honolulu, but the field that is waiting for them is absolutely brutal. A Virginia Tech team that just came off a Final Four and the perennial power on the men's and the women's side, but probably more so on the women's side, the UConn Huskies. So they've got a pretty tall task ahead of them as Coach Snyder is trying to have that group get towards mid-season form. Had a little hiccup there in Happy Valley against the Nittany Lions and grinded one out against UMKC and Memorial at not Memorial Stadium. Where are we at? Municipal there in Kansas City. As,
Municipal Auditorium.
Yeah, Municipal Auditorium is there.
Host of the most Final Fours in the history of college basketball, by the way, I believe. Fun fact. Well, yeah, Honolulu, you and I were talking, you were kind of asking me before we went on about the differences between Honolulu and Maui. Honolulu is kind of like Las Vegas because there's shopping and restaurants everywhere. It's like a big city on a beach. Maui's more casual and just kind of cozy and kind of like being in Lawrence compared to Chicago, let's say, or whatever. But it's can't complain. We're on the beach. Grand Caymans would be fun as well, but great atmosphere here. Tickets aren't an issue because we have 10,000 The Seat Arena was probably about half full yesterday. It'd be interesting to see.
Does it make you appreciate the Lahaina Civic Center a little bit more? Just the electricity and the juice and the intimacy, even though it kind of comes across like a high school or like an NAI type gym, but man, that juice for every single game in the Lahaina Civic Center there in Maui is pretty tough to match.
Yeah, seats 2,200. It's loud. The last time I was there was one of the best games in the history of the Maui Classic. Overtime triumph over Dayton. Obi Toppin, that was Devon and Doak were the co-MVPs. It was an unbelievable basketball game. So much fun. Overtime win of that team that, it's funny. Where were we? I don't know, Orlando or the Bahamas. Dayton wears T-shirts that says 2020 national champions because they were, I don't know, ranked third in the country when the COVID stopped. And we'd be walking around like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like we beat you. We were the number one team and we don't even talk about that like that. This is Kansas. We didn't play the tournament. We're not the national champions. Were we the best team? Probably. Would we have won it? Maybe. But it was funny to see the Dayton Flyers wear that. I don't know if it was a goof or they were really being serious, but they were awfully proud. But we did beat them, obviously. Honolulu, a little different. Still the beach. I mean, should I give the setting a little bit here? Do you want to see it?
Come on, man. Give the people what they want. They want to see what it's like, man. And I'm sure we had a great Jayhawk fan base. Some folks made the trip.
There we go.
All over there.
It's the view. Yeah. So, pretty nice. Sorry to make you. Am I making you a little jealous?
No, sorry, not sorry. That's what it is.
Well, it's been another great segment edition, Jayhawker Podcast, University of Kansas Health System, and Black and Veatch. Take ownership of your career, your future, and your success. Learn more at bv.com/careers. Lots of stuff going on. Cincinnati on Saturday. Finish up the Maui Classic strong. Get back home. Get back to work. Embrace KJ and his beautiful family after their passing of Yvonne. Just a great lady and kind of a team mom. I mean, played basketball at Texas A&M and just a tough deal. But, we went through it with Bill and his dad back in 22. T-Rob, like you said, Darnell Jackson, and we've all lost loved ones. We know how difficult it can be. So he needs us more than ever right now, and that's why he's here. So please support KJ in any way you can. Great time to be a Jayhawk. It's the best way to end the Jayhawker Podcast because it's true. You and I love this. I appreciate you, buddy. I missed you at my chalk talk this morning, but The Rock, Fred Cordelbaum filled in for you along with Brian Haney, and we just wowed a group of about 200 over at the Royal Hawaiian. To say that, I guess we should probably get them on, see if I really wowed them. But it was a fun deal. A lot to be thankful for. Thankful for you. Thanksgiving here in a couple days. Have a great time with your beautiful family and your parents right next door. I'll be having ahi tuna tacos on the beach.
What y'all gonna be having over there? No turkeys over there.
No, no turkeys over here.
Luau pig.
Yeah, I'll be. I won't send any pics, but I'll be dancing on the beach, eating some fish tacos. You have fun. We'll see you next week. We're gonna recap the Maui Classic. We're gonna recap Kansas football at Cincinnati, and it's gonna be another great week to be a Kansas Jayhawk. Rock Chalk.